33 acres of kind of prime real estate just hit the market in Beverly Hills. The owner is facing foreclosure, and you are not going to believe the asking price. They want $175 million. A home in Florida that they're calling a superstructure built to withstand a 100-year flood is currently being quietly shopped for around $50 million. And it looks like we're about to see approval for one of the tallest and most ambitious development projects New York City has seen in a long time. We've got all that plus a couple more stories to talk about in this week's episode of Real Estate Report. Let's do this. Now I want to take a look at this Beverly Hills land story first, okay? This is, for one, a sight to see, but it's also a bit of a dramatic story. The gist of what happened here is the other day, this land hit the market for $175 million after the highly contested plans of its current owner fell through. The guy who owns it now is a hotel developer who wanted to build this extravagant resort here called Bulgari Hotel. Bulgari, I think is how you say it. The hotel would have consisted of dozens of bungalows, a restaurant, a spa, and 8 homes that ranged from 12,000 all the way up to 48,000 square feet. Check this out. This is the rendering of roughly what it was going to look like. They said that this is going to be a project that was finished in 2026, which is funny to think about now. And this would make for their second project in the United States next to one in Miami. And they were advertising it as this majestic location in the Santa Monica Mountains, less than 5 miles from Rodeo Drive. This project was at one point actually partially approved, but the city revoked its original approval about 1.5 years ago, citing that the impacts to the wildlife would be far greater than they originally anticipated. Plus, LA Councilwoman said that the hotel would pose a danger for its location and negatively impact surrounding residents, potentially due to the threat of fires in these hillside areas. At the time of this rejection, the developer said that he had already spent millions of dollars and 6 years in the planning and permitting phase, so this was a huge blow to his business. Now it's on the market, though, with a crazy price tag. He wants $175 million for this 33-acre plot of land. According to the listing description, there are multiple buildable flat pads here, but I don't know about you guys. I don't see anywhere buildable here yet. Developing a site like this is going to be insane. You're going to have to build all the roads. You're going to have to mow down half of these trees. That's one reason the environmentalists were going so crazy about it. And these railings are in the foreground of some of these shots. There's actually 15 total APNs here, and there are 2 homes that are like currently standing right now. So I'm assuming that the shots with these handrails are taken from maybe one of the houses. I don't know. As far as I can tell, this is going to be an extremely hard sell. I don't care if the price is $175 or $125 or even $50 million. If the current owner got declined for his hotel plans, even if the next owner comes in and says, I don't want to build a hotel, I just want to build a couple of mansions, they're probably also going to get pushback from the city for the same reasons that this other guy was rejected. This whole story reminds me of the drama that hotel developer Mohammed Hadid has been wrapped up in a bunch of times over his career trying to develop hillside land around LA. It also kind of reminds me of that Senderos Canyon story. That's another offering that has been on and off the market for 3 years at this point. It's a bunch of nice hillside land that's potentially not buildable at all. Not a great situation to be in if you are the owner of this land, but I'm sure the neighbors are happy. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. For our next story, let's take a look at this one. We've got an amenity-filled Florida superstructure, that's a mouthful, that is being quietly shopped around right now for the cool asking price of $50 million. The 26,000 square foot mega mansion is getting closer to completion, and it's going to feature amenities like a 3-hole golf course, a 100-foot infinity edge pool, and a 10,000 square foot rooftop. This lot was purchased by the developer in 2021 for just $5 million. It's sitting on Old Cutler Road on 6.3 acres, and the lot has 330 feet of direct bay frontage. There's no official listing on this one yet, but the architect, Cora, I think is how you say it, they have some renderings on their webpage, so let's take a look at those. You can see it's an awesome looking house. The type of concrete they used here to build this structure is similar to what they use when they're building highways or even skyscrapers, so it's tough for sure. We got the garage down here on the first floor, and then the main living spaces are spread out between floors 2 and 3. And then check out the motor court. I mean, what an entry. I love the LED strips that are embedded into the driveway. This water feature and all the vegetation is amazing. This staircase is great. And then there's some cantilevers that span as far as 25 feet off of this house. Not exactly sure what this is. Maybe the guest house? Here's what it's gonna look like at nighttime. Let me know what you guys think. Would you mind living in a big glass box like this right on the water? I think I'd be okay with it. The biggest thing that comes to mind for me is if they're trying to build a house that can withstand a 100-year hurricane type storm, it seems like a bit of a bad idea to have all this glass facing the water. Another cool thing that I read in the article is that this swimming pool was actually raised 17 feet off the ground to allow stormwater to flow underneath it. Mansion Global says that the $50 million price tag is definitely out of character for this area. The median sale price here is only around $1.1 million, although the broker marketing the property says that this price tag is really a reflection of the size of the parcel more than anything else. So who knows? I'm sure his billionaire buyer is out there somewhere. Next, let's talk about Monaco for a minute. Check this out. They've got a $2 billion land reclamation project that's happening out there that has basically lit the real estate market on fire. Monaco remains one of the most expensive places in the world to buy real estate. $1 million will get you just 205 square feet of space here. This room I'm sitting in is about 120 square feet. So yeah, that's crazy. One of the issues is that there's not a ton of land in Monaco, only about 840 acres in total. So they came up with this solution to reclaim some land from the ocean. This new plot of land they're calling Mera Terra. This is the development website. What their goal is to build some of the most expensive real estate in the world here. You can see there's going to be homes, public spaces, apartments, even a marina. This is not the first time that Monaco has done something like this. They've been reclaiming land like this since I think the 1950s. But yeah, here's one of the public spaces. So between all these homes and apartments, they're gonna have walkways and water features, lush landscaping, whatever this is. They have absolutely killed it on the renderings here. These are so realistic. This is actually the marina area. Can you imagine pulling your yacht into one of these slips? For whatever reason, when I picture Monaco, even though I've never been, I just imagine like a huge cluster of buildings, almost like a New York City vibe. So this will be good, I'm sure, for people who live in this new development and also people who live in the surrounding developments who just want to come to this Matadera community and enjoy like the bars and the restaurants and the shops and stuff like that. And then check out some of the like actual single family homes they have rendered. Super cool, super contemporary. I'm not sure how far along these ones are. If I had to guess, these are probably in the $15 to $20 million range. And one thing about all this that I found even crazier is that this community is going to be so exclusive that apparently the developer himself wants to like hand select and approve the people who are even allowed to buy a house here. That is absolutely insane. But moving on to New York, okay, I want to talk about this project that I'm pretty excited about. A Supertall Skyscraper is about to be approved. It looks like this thing's going to be approved soon. And when it does get approved, it is going to completely change Park Avenue. This project will be located at 350 Park Ave, and it's going to replace 3 existing buildings, a 30-story office tower, a 23-story office building, and a 5-story office building. What they'd be replacing these 3 structures with is a 1.8 million square foot 1,600 foot tall, super tall tower that will feature office space, private terraces, and an outdoor public plaza at the ground level. This project is a joint venture deal between Vornado, Rudin, and Citadel. And you might be like me and wondering why these 3 guys are interested in building an office tower in New York when the office market is not exactly the best right now. Well, Ken Griffin's company Citadel is actually going to be the anchor tenant of the new building, occupying around 50% of the available square footage here. So yeah, even though vacancy in Manhattan is still hovering at about 24%, this building is going to have decent income coming in right out of the gates with Griffin's company. If approved, they're going to start demolition and start building next year. And at 1,600 feet, this will make for the 2nd tallest building in New York City, right next to One World Trade Center. Now, let's talk about Frank Lloyd Wright again. We've been talking about him a lot lately, but a building of his in Chicago just got added to this list as one of the most endangered historic buildings in the world. The home we're talking about now is known as the Walser House. It's located at 42 North Central Avenue. It was built in 1903, and it's a good example of Wright's style of work for this period of time. It features light-colored stucco and this contrasting dark wood. This whole story hit headlines when that Chicago nonprofit named the Frank Lloyd Wright home on its list of the Chicago 7 most endangered. This is the list that they put together in hopes that they're going to raise awareness and encourage somebody to step forward and do preservation here. This prairie-style home was designated a Chicago landmark in 1984, and in 2013 it was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And how about this for a fun fact? Okay, so the home only cost $4,000 to build back in 1903, which is about $143,000 in today's dollars. If you think about it, it was a pretty affordable house actually, which was exactly Wright's objective at the time. He was trying to build homes that looked cool but were actually affordable for the average family. Anyways, the current owners bought the Walser house in 1970. They did their best to maintain the home, but after the wife passed away in 2019, she passed the home down to her children, and they haven't really been able to keep up with the needed repairs. It's a tricky financial situation because what happened with this house is that the owners, after they retired, took out a reverse mortgage on the property, which means that what their heirs inherited was a home that not only needed a lot of work, but it had kind of accumulated a lot of debt because of that reverse mortgage. Fast forward to today, the stucco and wood trim are deteriorating. There are foundation issues, and the home's going through a foreclosure process, but the lender doesn't realize that if they don't help to stabilize this building soon, things might get ugly. See, the city's not going to let this house just sit there and rot forever. At some point, it could get condemned due to the structural and the safety issues. Fingers crossed that somebody out there comes along, buys the house out of foreclosure, fixes it up, and lets it stand for another 100 years. That's a wrap for this week's episode, you guys. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below before you go if you enjoy these style of videos, and I'll see you next week.